Looking back, still dreaming about yesterday. Keep your head up, stay true, it's our policy. Yeah, we'll be alright, we'll get by. We'll learn to take time to free the mind like two American hippies. Yeah, we'll be alright, we'll keep our head high. Never stop following those dreams inside, and we can be in it. Yeah, we'll be alright. Yeah, we're gonna be alright. Yeah, we'll be alright. Yeah, we're gonna be just fine.
Sing it back to me, sing it back to me now. Why don't we call it love, call it love?
Two hearts in a billion, wanna fall into ya, make me wanna shout it out like a hallelujah. Cause times like these don't come and go. But two hearts in a billion, singing hallelujah. Hey, there's something in the air tonight, way up in the blaze of gold. Hey, there's something in the air tonight. Say I feel it in the sky above and way down in the waves below. Hey, I feel it in the sky above. Why don't we call it love? Sing it back to me, sing it back to me now. Why don't we call it love, call it love? Sing it back to me, sing it back to me now. Why don't we call it love, call it love? Why don't we call it love, call it love? Why don't we call it love, call it love? No sleep, running on a dream. Down the golden coastline, you give me all I need. I'm like, oh my, oh my. Cause times like these don't come and go. No sleep, running on a dream. I'm like, oh my, oh my. Yeah, there's something in the air tonight, way up in the blaze of gold. Yeah, there's something in the air tonight. Say I feel it in the sky above and way down in the waves below. Hey, I feel it in the sky above. Why don't we call it love? Sing it back to me,
in. Yep. Did everybody hear me now? We still have a good amount of people coming in right now, so we're just going to wait a few more minutes. We don't want to lose everybody or anybody. While we're waiting, we're going to go over some rules, and we'll repeat those again in just a few minutes. Please stay muted while you are on this Zoom call. If you have any questions at all, drop them in the chat. If they're pertaining to anything that Jerry is teaching today, we will try to get to that for the end of Jerry's session. Also, at the end, we'll also have a Q&A. Please use the raised hand feature, and we will get to as many people as we possibly can. So we still have people rolling in. We're just going to do a couple more minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So excited to have everybody today. Looks like it's an amazing turnout. Hi, Rachel. All right, I'm going to give it one more minute. All right, Cate, I'm going to have you continue to let people in as we get started. And you can just keep letting people in the door as we get started. Hi, everybody. I am Jessica McKnight. I am your host today. I have been a photographer for 30 years, and I am also a mentor and a mindset coach. And I run what many photographers have described as one of the most transformative retreats in the industry right now, which is Beyond Brilliant Photography Retreats. These retreats are designed for all skill levels, and we cover lighting, posing, styling, post-production, business, pretty much anything that you can imagine. But what makes our retreats completely different is that we also incorporate mindset, yoga, meditation, healthy food, and we completely reset the body and the mind. We also have a circle of authentication where we as professionals can talk about the things in the industry that are hard for us, or things that we're finding that are amazing without any judgment. And we also have adventures, we have live entertainment, we have a lot of just amazing things that go into these retreats. And one of the things is we have world-class educators. We have amazing models that come along. And the panel that you see here in front of you is going to be our next panel in our Costa Rica retreat in April. And Jerry is our headliner. Jerry, thank you for joining us. Marco is also teaching, and Cate is also teaching. This retreat will cover fashion, creative portraiture, boudoir, and swimwear. So I'm going to let Jerry take it away. Jerry is a Nikon ambassador. He is a truly remarkable human being. He's an inventor. He has invented the 15-in-1 reflector. He is a grandmaster for WPPI, which makes him the most awarded photographer. And Jerry and his wife, Melissa, spearhead the Icon Awards, which is the most prestigious photography competition in the world. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jerry. Thank you so, so much for coming along and helping teach this class.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the opportunity. I love any platform that lifts photographers, and certainly, you know, what's coming up obviously in April is very, very exciting. So we'll talk more about that later on. But from my perspective, guys, I want to give you as much value as humanly possible. Now, it's interesting that the mere notion of teaching lighting online is quite weird, because obviously it's quite tough to sort of show you physically independent of a shoot. But what I'm going to do is show you some examples and give you some tips and tricks that you can actually use straight away and give you as much value as humanly possible. And certainly if you enjoy what you're listening to and hearing and all that kind of thing, and being able to think of an incredible opportunity that we can actually learn from each other coming up, then fantastic. But either way, we want to give you as much value as humanly possible right now. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through some photographs, and Jess and crew there, if anyone has any questions that they want to ask me, because I'll be focusing on teaching and looking into the camera and showing different things, please just interject and interrupt and sort of ask me the questions based upon what we're speaking about. And yeah, we'll wind it up in a certain amount of time. But thank you so much for being here, guys. I sincerely believe time is the most important thing in life, and you're giving us your time right now. So that does not go unnoticed. So thank you for your trust. And let's dive right in here as we share the screen. Okay, all right.
Jerry, I'll moderate the chat. So if we have a relevant question in that moment, I'll just flag it for you and then we can let them ask the question.
Wonderful, fantastic. Okay, so you guys should be seeing my slide there. Just making sure we do that before I keep on going too far. Is that right?
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, let me just put my notes here. It's always a bit tricky sharing Keynote online. Okay, guys, fantastic. Okay, so whether you've just started, whether you may not have been taught properly, or perhaps looking for some little gems that you can take away, we're going to discuss those right now. And I think that most of us, when we see a light source, now this light source is hitting me, for example, this is just an LED light source, beautiful pure light. We often will see a window, we'll see a softbox, and we decide to illuminate people directly from the front. Okay, so we turn the body towards the light source and then we illuminate them. Now, this particular shot was just taken only a week or two ago, and I was doing a lighting demonstration, but I thought that the demonstration was pretty cool, so I wanted to share it with you today. So what you're seeing is out of the camera, no retouching, but do you see how the light is flooding her right like this? So we turn the body towards a light source and we think that's just a logical way to do it. Now, I'm here to tell you that especially for the female form, that we will traditionally turn the body away from the light source and the face back in. So what's happening now is the light is flooding her from the front. You can see that it's split lighting her face, but the pose is quite soft and feminine. So you can see how she's turned her body on a bit of an angle. Her chin is to her outer shoulder, and then she's looking back at the camera. But when the lighting is a little bit harder, and in other words, a bit hard and contradicting the softness of that sensibility, then there's a contradiction. Now watch what happens when all I do is I turn the body away from the light source and the face back in. In other words, keep the pose exactly the same. And in this case, I'm not actually turning the body away from the light source and the face back in because she was already posed. I move the light away from the body and look at the difference. Massive difference. Look at the shadow on her cleavage, the shadow on the side of the face that's now closest to the camera, and then we cut away light a little bit from the body. So have a quick look at those differences. Massive difference. So what's beautiful about the female form is curves. If you want to bring out beautiful curves, then more important than lighting is actually the shadows, where you take the light away. That's a really, really important one. So let's build it from scratch. Okay, so right now, all we have, now, by the way, everything that I'm using right now, all the lights that are on this model are all the Ice Light 3, invented by yours truly. So now we have one light source on her, so you see the evidence of that. Now you quickly basically see that little bit of a hair light right behind her. So that was done on a C-stand and illuminating her. Then you've got a little bit of an edge light, as you can see, and that is also tickling her bust, which also gives depth and dimension. So just remember, the more highlight shadow you see on a subject, then the deeper it's going to appear. I want you to think of a body like a landscape or architecture, whatever your flavor is. But let's say it's like a landscape. Would you photograph a landscape with lighting flooding, hitting the front of that mountain range? Well, you probably wouldn't. You would look for a mountain range where the sunrise and sunset will be coming from the side, and you'll get that depth and dimension, and it would look really, really beautiful. So it's important that we recognize that if we are looking at a body, sorry guys, if one of you can mute there or unmute, because I'm getting my there we go. Okay, fantastic. So when you are looking at a body, so whether you're photographing someone with a dress, whether you're photographing boudoir, whether you're photographing swimwear with a female form, this technique will often be the best. Turn the body away from the light, the face back in. Okay, let's keep on going here. So now you can see that little hint of highlight on the background there, and that is giving us just a beautiful lead in towards your eye. And then you can see, do you see her body? Do you see how she's swallowing up her bust with her arms right there? Then I get her to bring her shoulders back. Then we bring them back even further. And then, of course, if you look at the catch lights in her eyes, that's going to be even better. Now, what I used to do is I would say to a subject, I want you to look in that direction, and then just photograph accordingly. What I now do is, let's say, for example, I know that I'm pretty small in relationship to what you're basically seeing on the screen right now in terms of thumbnail, but if you can sort of see me, what I'll often do, if I was my subject, I'd say, look at my hand. I look at my hand and I'll keep on looking, and then I'm looking for contrast and catch lights in my eyes. And then I pick something in the environment and I say, Jerry, look at the top of that tree, look at the top of that building, because I'm after those catch lights. Hence, we've got a nicely crafted image. And again, it's nothing spectacular. We're just teaching principles right now, and we'll get a bit more wow as we sort of move along. If we wanted to soften that light, all I did was illuminate that Ice Light 3, the LED light, through a diffuser. Now, this was the original setup, just so you can basically see. So one light coming from the front, that's the main light. Then you've got that edge light. It's slightly off frame, and then the actual backlight giving us the hair light there as well. But I'm here to tell you, I don't really care what light source you use. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you could see a Westcott sticker on a street sign and you say, oh my God, Westcott, fantastic. You've built in an insulation that we can use the light source from. Most of us don't think like that. All I'm saying to you is, if it illuminates, use it. If it illuminates, use it. So in this case, I was doing a tutorial on photographing in small spaces. Now, this is just window light, and you can see it's a quite chaotic bedroom or background. So I put my subject right there on an Apple box, and then I just had a conversation with her. She was a little bit nervous. She hasn't been photographed for a while. So I wanted her to be enveloped in her fashion because she just loves fashion. And then what I do is I just put my camera on auto area AF, so the camera does the focusing on the eyes, and I just have a conversation, sort of like an interview almost, but I think it's like a conversation portrait. So sometimes if you have a subject that is a little bit nervous, then if you have a remote trigger where they don't even know that you're photographing, put your camera on silent mode, and then you just keep on firing away. And pardon me if this offends you, I just talk shit. I just talk shit until they get gold. And then I have some fun. Then you get these beautiful gestures. So the idea is that, I often teach people the 5 steps to a great photograph. And what are they, in my humble opinion? Well, lighting is number 1. I'm looking for a direction of light. I'm looking for iridescent saturation. I'm looking for something that just gives me a glow on the skin of the person that I'm photographing. And as I said earlier in this presentation, then arguably more important than light is shadows, but that would confuse you. So lighting is number 1. Then I picked the location. So the lighting was coming through the window, as you can see. So let me just go to this next one. It was coming through that window, and then I picked the location. So she's obviously enveloped in all her dress and her garb and her wardrobe. In this case, Melissa's actually holding one of her dresses in the background. Then I pose my subjects, so I put them in a situation, and it's for flattery and for purpose. So I want to make my subjects look good and bring out the best in them, but I'm also doing it purposefully. What is the purpose of the shoot? And then I get my technique right, my camera choice, my lens choice, my cropping, exposure, you name it. And then number 5 is the emotion. And the emotion doesn't have to be overt, as in a big laugh or cry, whatever. It's got to speak to me. Like you can see the softness in her face. Now, this was photographed with an 85mm f1.2. And I have no problem in that the eye that's furthest away being out of focus, as long as that first eye is looking good, then I'm totally great. So that light flooding her across, you can see it's softer. It's a prettier light source. Now, again, this is the location that I was photographing, and we were about to shoot, and then her cat just jumps up, and I'm like, great, let me isolate that beauty and then get that tickle of light just falling on her shoulders, that little bit of a jawline, a hint of light on her bust. And then when we get to pose her, I do the same thing. And as you can see though, what was the same thing? Turn the body away from the light and the face back in. So the mere fact that she's lying down means that that light is coming from the side. She turns her face back into the light. We get beautiful depth and dimension on her body. And then she turns her face until we get that gorgeous tickle of light on her face. And then again, we isolate the beauty in the environment. I believe that people photograph the way they are as people. Okay, what does that mean? Well, I'm a very positive person. I will walk into a room that's got crap everywhere and isolate the beauty and just go for it accordingly. For me, that's what it's all about, is I don't look at the mess. I look at a pocket of light. That's all I need. You know, if I go a bit further, you can basically see there where I've got her to sit on the ground and then lean on the very sofa that she was lying down on. And I see this beautiful, mirror. And then I've got all this stuff in the foreground, as you can see. And then I put my camera on the sepia picture control. Now, the native sepia picture control out of the Nikon camera system is actually not true sepia. It's desaturated and then sepia thrown in. So a polarizing color like red here, for example, would not be as saturated. But then if you're using muted tones, it actually works really, really beautifully. And then that one as well. I just love that beautiful, delicate light. And again, no artificial light source was used in the making of these photographs. Then I'm continuously, I'm looking. So rather than shooting the reflection now, I am now just photographing her directly. Now you can see what I'm doing is I turn her face to the light until her camera right or her left eye, her eye socket is completely lit. Then that makes the shadow on the side of the face that's closest to the camera appear. That gives us beautiful shadows and cheekbones and jawline. And I make sure I do not have light on that ear. So in this case, okay, here her ears are covered, but the minute, like for example, if you're looking at me right now as a small thumbnail, so if you see me here, I've got light coming from this direction. The minute I turn my face and get that tickle of light on the ear, it's a very polarizing feature on the head. I call the ear the Grand Canyon of the head because there's all these little divots and it's all contrasty. I don't like ears in photographs as much as humanly possible. And that's why I turn the face towards a light source. I stop when the eye socket is completely lit and when at least this area is in shadow. You can see a little bit of a kick of light here. Often people actually ask me, my setup here, like how does this look so cool? I've got to tell you, I've got one light on either tall chair here. I've got a kick of light here with a bit of a teal gel. I've got a hair light, and then I've got a textured light coming through this beautiful coffee table, and then I've got my main light source. So by purely just speaking to people, and when I'm zooming people like right now, I can't profess to be a lighting expert if the first impression that you have of me is that my Zoom setup is just pretty basic and boring. So just a pro tip, make sure that your lighting setup is really rock solid. What I've done is I've devoted a bedroom to this setup and I've blocked out the actual lights coming through the window. So I know that no one can duplicate or replicate this area or this kind of situation because these chairs make it very unique. That texture through the background make it very, very unique. So that's a really helpful thing that I always look at as well. By the way, if you have any questions, like I said, put them in the comment section in case you've just joined us. In my peripheral vision, I've been seeing some questions or some chat going on. But if you have anything, yes, one of you guys interrupt me and let me know, as in one of the hosts. That would be wonderful. Okay, so now I get, so Nicole is her name. So I get her right in front of that particular mirror, and I'm using that light, that built-in softbox in that window hitting her. And again, I turn the body away from the light source and the face back in. If you got nothing else from this particular online seminar but that, your life will change because you will often see a main light source turn the body towards a light source for the female form, and then you might get a shadow on the side of the face, but what you're not getting is that beautiful luxury on the body, on the bust, and that beautiful texture that we often get. So you can see that I posed her here, then I made her laugh, and then now I'm sort of posing that gorgeous. Obviously, she has a Marilyn Monroe vibe and everything like that, which looks really beautiful. And again, I'm shooting at 85 1.2 here, so I'm getting everything drifting in and out of focus, but I'm isolating the beauty of that particular environment. Okay, so what do I do now? She gets into a different outfit, and we're shooting in her small lounge room area. And what do? Again, I turn the body away from the light source and the face back in. So think of it like that. You're either turning the light away, the body away from the light, or the light away from the body. It doesn't really matter how you get there, but 90% of the time I'll be doing this. So we keep on going, beautiful depth and shadow, and I'm obviously using the frames on the wall to literally frame her within that subject matter. And obviously, you know, she has this sort of old school charm, this vintage vibe about her, and she just literally looks like from another era. So I wanted the light to celebrate that as well. This next one here, I grabbed one of those doilies off the table and I placed it over my lens, and now I've got a built-in soft filter. You know, it just gives it a bit of a different vibe. And people might say, well, how can you actually see her when the doily's directly over your lens? It's no different than if you put your hand over your face and you've got literally, you know, a bunch of fingers in front of your eyes. Well, you can see clearly through them. So what it does, it just softens everything, it meshes everything in together, and it just gives you this beautiful quality. For those who know me, have been following me for a long time, I've been shooting for 32 years, I've been teaching for probably 25 of those years. You know, I really love to make something out of nothing. And when I say that, I mean challenge myself into create beautiful shots no matter where we are. Now, Nicole has a few health issues and she was getting tired. And I'm like, I've got more in me here. I want to do some more stuff. What do? I said, how about you lie down and I take some shots while you're lying down? And she's like, fantastic. Well, deal, you know? So I'm very polite and I'm very thoughtful of who I'm photographing, but sometimes we're too polite. Like you're shooting a wedding and someone says, oh, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm done with photographs. And what do I say? I say, in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, you won't care about these extra 5-10 minutes that we've got to photograph, but you will care about you looking the best you've looked in your life, creating beautiful and meaningful photographs that you will treasure forever. But it's your choice. I basically said, you're a fool if we don't take advantage of this. Let's go play a bit more. So I found a mirror on the wall, and then I basically got her to hold it. And that was literally just window light, shooting at f1.2. Everything else is beautiful and dreamy. And then we go a little bit closer there as well, as you can appreciate. So that really works well. And then she was completely over it. She literally lay on her bed and she goes, Jerry, you know, again, I'm not going to go into her personal health issues, but she lay down on the bed, and then I'm like, one more shot, but you can lie down exactly the way you are. So she did. We opened up those drapes, the sun was out, and then we ended up photographing this particular shot there as well. So again, I hope you're enjoying this, guys. I've got another 10 minutes or so that I'll be going through. We're going to be sharing some Q&A. We'll be hearing from the other hosts as well, but we're going to delve in quite deep with what we're doing. And you'll be listening to, you know, Jessica and about a couple of opportunities that are coming up at an incredible retreat in Costa Rica, and I'm very, very excited about presenting there. Costa Rica I've been to. It is an incredible place. I've been there on holiday. There's howler monkeys that you'll hear. You'll see these gorgeous, beautiful, colorful crabs and stuff like that. The beaches are to die for. The food is incredible. And I always say that if you can get a tax write-off and have the best relaxing time learning your craft and literally coming out of a workshop as a different person, then why wouldn't you invest in yourself and have some fun? We'll talk more about that later on, but I just wanted to give you a bit of a preview as to an opportunity that's coming up. But for now, we'll continue to give you some value and have some fun here too. All right. Jess, team, any questions at this time, or are we just soaking it in right now?
Jerry, there's a question here that someone wanted to know if you could share the setting you used for the portraits with the 85 1.2 lens.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an open-ended question, right? So the exposures will obviously change every time depending on the actual light that I've got. But let me give you maybe more of a broader answer that might give you more perspective. In case you're sort of not fully in tune with your camera and know what settings to use. If you're not shooting with mirrorless, you should. I mean, it makes it so much more fun, so much more efficient, and you're losing out. And I'm the first one to tell you that your camera is only a tool and you make the difference. But if you haven't gone to mirrorless yet, you should, because you see live exposure, you see live white balance, and you can use your camera in really clever ways. So the way I do it is that I will shoot almost exclusively on manual. Then what I'll do is I'll put my shutter speed on a safe handheld shutter speed, and or the shutter speed that will freeze the motion of what I'm shooting. So for example, if I have a stationary subject and I might animate them, like make them laugh, whatever, then 250 speed would be about where I need to be. Then I choose my desired aperture, how many things I want in focus. So most of the time what you saw there, I was photographing at f1.2 or f2. So whatever focus whatever depth you have on your particular lens. And then all I've got is my ISO. Now, with a Nikon camera system, I can actually custom control rings on my lens. So one of the rings, I make it ISO. And I've got to say, as elementary as this sounds, I put my eye to the camera. I've got my speed set. I've got my desired aperture and my depth of field set. And then all I do is I just move my ISO dial until it looks good. What am I looking for? I'm looking for detail on the brightest highlight on the face, which implies that the brightest highlight in your subject matter or in your frame should be on the person's face. Now, yes, you might shoot against an overcast sky. You might have a sconce on the wall. I'm not talking about the obvious exceptions. I'm talking about the main pocket of light should be usually on the subject. And then what do? I adjust my ISO until I get detail on that brightest highlight. And that's it. I make my life easier. I don't care about what the exposure meter says. I don't care about histograms. I make my life easier, and I'm always within I call it a click, a third of a stop of my exposure. Any other questions before we move on for the last few minutes?
Jerry, there's a question here. What Nikon are you shooting with now?
My typical sort of setup is, it depends on if it's a wedding or a portrait. Wedding, I like to keep the same cameras. So it could be two Nikon Z8s. That being said, if I'm sort of tired, I've got a bad back day, which I often do, or a bad arm day, I might shoot the Z6 III at night at a reception if I'm shooting above my head, maybe even with a pancake lens, a 26mm f2.8 lens. But I've currently in my tool bag, like I've got two Z8s, a 6 III, and I've also got the ZF because it's badass and it looks cool. So yeah. All right, guys. So here we have obviously just an open window light, and this time I turn the body towards the light source because one, the girl's very slim, and also the shadows still fall where I need them to fall, and I get this shot because I'm actually, if I turn the body towards a light source, sometimes I turn it so much so where I get a shadow on the middle of the arm. Now in this case, I'm cropping that out. But really the main drama for me here is obviously the beveled mirror. And if you see a beveled mirror, you can get a triple reflection, which is always really cool. Now this sort of reminds you, again, turning the body away from the light and the face back in. And now what do we do for the male form? Well, I can do the same thing. So I'll show you what that looks like. So he's turned his body away and his face back in. I've deliberately enveloped him within the armchair so it cuts away into his face. And then I can go even closer. So if you are shooting to sell, whether it's portrait, whether it's wedding, I'm always looking for that second, third shot that's going to be in the spread of an album or a piece of wall art or a collection. So I don't think about the album or wall art until I take that first photograph. Then I say, what is going to go with it? So I've taken 3 shots here, and very quickly I've sold the spread. Most of us, what we do is we shoot 100 photographs, 200 in one scene because we fall in love with whomever we're photographing, knowing that we're probably only going to sell 2 or 3 images. So I'm saying to you, slow down, take your time, get to the destination quicker. And if you've mentally sold that spread, that story, that wall art collection, be done. Now, in the same location, that this was at, I used the window light to actually get a bit of an edge light. And then I introduced my own very ice light as a sliver of light on his face. And then I can just keep on going. I can cut away light from his face. I can use the window light for her hair light. And in this case, I literally stood on a chair or a ladder and I photographed through a piece of chandelier. And that gives us that beautiful texture. But remember, turn the body away from the light and the face back in. How did I, what, so you can sort of see how on that left-hand side of that photograph, how it's very dark and deep. Then I open up the blind and that gives me a kick of light. So remember, people say mixed lighting is bad or I don't know why it's demonized. Mixed lighting is real life. We will have tungsten lights, we will have window lights, we'll have bedside lamps. I have no problem. There's often I will use an ice light in conjunction with the window. I will use flash in conjunction with ambience as well. But opening up that light even further, you can see what that does for her. And you can sort of see too that if I've got existing lights, for example, that sconce on the wall and that window light, that will often tell me the pose to do. Like, what do I do with that pose? Well, the lighting is telling me I need to give my couple an excuse to be in a situation that forces her face upwards, and we get that shot. So we get that really cool edge light on him. It's got a more masculine sort of feel, and then we get that soft, beautiful feminine look. And then if I was to shoot this for a client, which I did, I can just go closer, and then we got that beautiful fall off. This is at f1.2 on her eyelashes, and everything just drifts off. But you can sort of see how clearly, though, that's the exact same shot, just cropped a little bit different and different close. And then while she's there, let's not waste it. All of a sudden, I can put him in a semi-silhouette in the foreground, and life is good. In this same location, and I was actually doing a class here, you can sort of see how, I'll go into my camera, change my settings. I've gone to the black and white picture control, and there you see it, 250 speed. 2.8, I think I was photographing with a macro lens. We affectionately call this Jerry vision. So you can see how close that is and how sharp that is. Now, what am I alluding to? If you were to learn from me in person, again, we're going to be sharing an opportunity coming up very quickly. When I shoot, or when you've been to a different class, I am sure the speaker has probably taken a photograph, shown you the back of the camera, very hard to see. Because I do filmmaking and I've been teaching for a long time, I know that the experience could be better if you could see what I see. So when I put my eye to the camera, I've got a transmitter transmitting my EVF footage to a receiver, which is connected to a screen, an Atomos Ninja 5 Plus or monitor recorder. And now you can look at the environment, look at me, look at what I'm looking at, and understand the decision-making that I'm doing in my camera. And it actually works really, really well. So that's the kind of stuff we do as well. Any more questions here? But I'll pass it on to you guys. But well, obviously we're here. We're going to give you some more value, but we want to hear from some of our other team here. But thank you for the opportunity, and let me stop sharing my screen for a little bit too. So
Jerry, there's a question here. Just do you have any examples of that concept outdoors?
As in turning the body away from the light source and the face back in?
I guess that's the question, yeah.
Yes, I do. All right. So maybe let me find that. I've stopped sharing my screen, but let me go to this. So if you want to answer another question or something like that, or perhaps tell the guys what we're talking about, and then I will show that very, very thing.
And Jerry, we are going to pop into the retreat here once you answer this question, because we do have, Marco does have to leave, and I do want to introduce him.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, talk a bit about the retreat, but just while I'm finding this, because I want to find a good example of that.
What a wow, right? What a wealth of information that Jerry has to provide us. Imagine 7 days in Costa Rica, your rooms, your food, excursions. There will be photo walks on the beach, Victoria's Secret style with wings. There is an amazing adventure excursion through the jungle by ATV that goes to a private waterfall where we'll have an incredible photo shoot there. There's a beach night under the stars where there's a fire dancer. And of course, we're going to be having education from Jerry, business education from Melissa Ghionis. We're going to be having some amazing classes from Marco and Cate, and I'm also going to be doing mindset and business classes myself. And for anyone today that is on the call, we have an amazing deal that I have just posted for you. I'm trying to post for you that anyone today will get $1,000 off their retreat registration if they schedule between now and Monday, November 24th. So that is $1,000 off. And I can tell you that you will not be able to get that. What we're doing, if you were to put it together yourself. So in other words, if you were to go over to Costa Rica, you wanted to put together your live music, your food, your excursions, your education, the models, there would be no way that you would be able to get it at the price that we're offering, much less the $1,000 off. So this is a really, really great opportunity. And I'm about to, maximum amount of attendees. That is a really good question. So there are only 20 photographers that are allowed to this one. So it is a really, really intimate retreat. So anyone who jumps on this is going to be really lucky because they're going to be in the intimate atmosphere with us educators, and you're going to get a lot of one-on-one time with us. And actually, that's one of our questions that is coming up. But I'm going to jump over to Jerry for a question really quick. You shared with me not too long ago that you and Melissa do some yoga. And I wanted to ask you, which is really amazing because we obviously are incorporating yoga into our retreat, and it's really important. And so I just wanted to ask you, how do you feel that that affects your business and your life and your photography creatively?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've got to say that I've been cynical about the thought of yoga for so long, and I've got a terrible back. I've got 2 herniations in my upper neck. I've got 3 herniations in my lower back, and I've got a cyst on my spine. So I don't even know how I function, but I do. And people have been telling me for years, got to do yoga, got to do yoga. And I'm like, all right, I caved in finally, and now it's a weekly ritual. We want to make it probably 2 to 3 times a week, and again, for those who just don't do it, you can, you may think it's just, let's just hold hands in kumbaya and it's all whatever. And I'm a cheeky guy and I like to have fun. So for me to just put my mind at rest and focus on my breath and my breathing and my body, it gives me pause. I am a very present person. But the ability to do yoga with my wife and say to myself, I'm going to do something for myself that actually benefits me physically, mentally, and it's a joint thing, is a beautiful thing. So, when you offer the opportunity to actually do something really cool in Costa Rica, one, I've been there, it's an incredible place. And certainly this is not a workshop about yoga and we're doing that all day, every day, but you're committing yourself and making a commitment to your mind, body, soul, and of course your business and your skills. It just makes you very sensitized to learning. And I thought that was an incredible killer combination. So I'm excited about the opportunity. And certainly, yoga is slowly getting my back where it needs to be. It's a journey, but I'm just focusing on the process right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also noticed during meditation and breathing that it also helps me personally with problem solving and actually being able to sit still with a lot of the ideas I have creatively so that I can actually figure out how I want to style something or how I want to shoot something or how I want to create a set. Marco, you are a WPPI speaker and international educator. You are attending as an educator. We're profoundly happy to have you. You did have a question for Jerry as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Jessica and Jerry. Thanks again for all the useful information. I think you gave like a masterclass in 30 minutes. I learned so much. I was taking notes about all the things that you were saying, and your photos are amazing. They're really beautiful. I'm a fan of your work, all the emotion, images, the use of shadows and mirrors, which I also use. So great. Your composition is something you didn't touch or didn't talk about, but I think is something that is also very beautiful. And I hope in Costa Rica, you probably want to expand on that. But my question is related more to what is that main difference between shooting a studio and indoors and shooting outdoors? Because in Costa Rica, we have the chance to do that with beautiful models. So thinking about people that are attending, what do you think is the main difference in terms of equipment? Maybe something they can or they should bring, camera settings and all of that. Can you, explain a little?
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. Well, first of all, thank you for the love. I really appreciate it. In terms of the difference, here's the thing. I know that there's many people out there, many photographers pride themselves in a particular style. I'm the strobe guy, I'm the strobe girl, I'm the sun person, natural light, whatever. I think for me, the important thing is that lighting is really has to be flattering and purposeful and meaningful. So if I'm putting a shadow in somewhere, where am I putting it and why? If I'm outdoors and it is sunny, or if I'm using open shade of a mountain in Costa Rica, if I'm backlighting, then what is my approach? Early in my career, it was just very much about being pretty. Let's make everything pretty. And I'm like, purposeful, damn it. I want to feel something. So talking about the cropping, which you sort of said there in your comment, everything in the image should scream what you're trying to scream to the viewer of the photograph of that person that you're photographing. It doesn't have to be crazy deep. If you're photographing a swimwear model, what are you trying to say? You're celebrating curves. You're celebrating that gorgeous tickle of light on the body, shadow, empowering that person to make them look and feel their best. So it doesn't matter what light you use. It just has to be used effectively. A lot of people freak out a little bit when it is harsh sun and they run for the open shade, or they consistently get their strobe out and everything starts looking the same. So when I teach, and I'm sure you guys are probably the same, is that I'm going to basically shoot with what's around me, try to interpret a location as a studio. Let's recognize the sunlight as a strobe. Let's recognize the sun through a cloud like a softbox. Let's recognize the reflection of sand as a reflector on the ground, and then and so on and so forth. So everything to do with what you do in the camera and even in post, cropping especially. I aggressively crop. I love to crop in camera and very tight. Yeah, it's all about that purpose. So for me, it's just interpreting what you see and how you see it based upon who you're photographing with absolute purpose and craft. We're not just photographing for the hell of it. We're really crafting the photograph. And I think that's something missing in a lot of our industry at the moment. I think people are not celebrating the craft the way they used to.
And Cate, you had some questions for Jerry? I'm so sorry,
I
Marco.
want to I want to do a follow-up in terms of equipment. Do you tend to use the same equipment you use indoors and outdoors, or depending on the situation, you change your camera or lenses?
Best way I could describe it is traditionally, if I need more light than what's around me indoors, I will shoot with the ice light. If I need more light, speed light. If I need more light, strobe. If I'm outdoors, I don't just bring out the flash because it's easy, predictable, and everyone does it. If I use what I call circumstantial lighting, it happens to be in the environment, I'll stick with what's already there, and a lot of people will use a strobe, and it takes you like 5-10 minutes to get the camera out and flash out and settings out. I'm like, you realize that your 5-in-1 reflector can probably already do that, right? You know what I mean? Or a diffuser could already do that. So I just think we complicate things, or we pride ourselves on one type of lighting. So yeah, that's the hierarchy of what I do. But at the same time, there's, as you know, some lighting properties are a little bit different. So you need the right tool for the job based upon what you're trying to say.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Cate, you had some questions for Jerry pertaining
Oh,
to.
sure. So, Jerry, I would love to just talk about the importance of portfolio building, and we're going to be in this beautiful paradise backdrop. Can you talk a little bit about the inspiration of the environment and then the types of photos that you can actually capture?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like there's going to be portfolio building workshops, there's going to be different styles of workshops, but the idea is that if you can learn from experienced people and be able to build on your folio in a genre that you might not have nothing. Like you might not have zero photographs of swimwear or boudoir or wedding or portrait, whatever it is that your jam is. The fact that it's given to you on a platter in an environment that's not easy to find, easy to produce, and everything's literally like your mindset is preparing you to take hopefully some of the best shots of your life with guidance from instructors and producing imagery that you can go back with and put on your social media, put on your website. I mean, it's priceless. I mean, you know, to do that yourself, you'd probably have to find a local beach. You'd have to find a model that you don't know or may not be able to rely on, then work out fashion, then time of day. But the other thing is being able to share the experience with the instructors, but also with each other. I find that learning from the other students and the backgrounds is really, really important. And probably something else that I know that you didn't really ask, but I think is really important. It's the moments between the moments that you get the most learning from. Sometimes literally sitting, you know, having a drink, eating a meal, you're so sensitized on what life should be like, working in an environment that you love, in a co-environment that people are inspired by, that people are together with. And then you realize that you share similar challenges, problems, successes with your fellow students. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, like, yes, this is the way to go. So yeah, I'm excited about the opportunity, certainly, as well as just excited for students to be able to build on what they love, but in a controlled environment, in a sense that it's controlled as in here's a playground and go play, and you can have as little or as much direction from us as you want beyond, of course, the moments that we are doing hardcore teaching. So yeah, it's great.
You touched on that, Jerry. We in our past retreats, we've been doing these for 3 years now. This is going on year 4. We have people in our very first WhatsApp group that are still talking today. And actually, a lot of them have attended each other's weddings and they are just close friends. This is a very intimate setting and they make lifelong bonds. And I agree with you. This is an opportunity to actually sit down at the table across from the makeup artists, across from the models, across from the educators, and having open conversation that you would not necessarily have the opportunity to do if you were at a large conference. Being able to have these conversations, and it's just life-changing. The amount that you get to learn in that time frame is surmountable. It's immeasurable. So yeah, I think that's really remarkable. We are going to jump into a little bit more about the retreat itself. So Jerry, do you have any last words that you wanted to say to everybody before you head off?
Yeah, no, thank you. Yes. Yeah, look, I think I've said a lot about that experience, but for me, I've got to say that so many people will spend money on a lens, on a camera, on a piece of equipment. And the reason why we do it, okay, we might because we can, but let's say beyond that, we see it as a tangible thing. That lens will get me better pictures. But would you beat Djokovic with him playing with a wooden tennis racket? So what I'm getting at is you personally make the difference. Now, what am I getting at overall is that we need to invest in our education. We need to invest in ourselves as humans. And if you're a business owner, which most of us are, so whether you do it full time, whether you do it part time, or you're on the precipice of doing it, invest in yourself. That's all I can say is that, you know, any business book in the world, anything that you see, the quickest shortcut to success is learning from someone who's already walked your path. Now, add the benefit of having a tax write-off on a glorified learning holiday with incredible experienced teachers all rooting for you and students that all love what you love and in a beautiful environment. You might not think that it's just disposable. That will make you money if you let it. So think of it as a commitment to yourself and your development, because without it, you'll wake up on that Monday morning like we all do. You look in the mirror and you're lacking that motivation. Most of us are very isolated. We need what I call tribal learning. And if you can do it in an incredible paradise, why wouldn't you?
Thank you so much, Jerry. Cate, we're going to come over to you. You are also a WPPI speaker and an international educator. And what was really incredible is that last year you had the opportunity to come as a student, which was really, really incredible. Um, can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, I had actually been Googling to attend a yoga retreat, and I found the retreat by accident. And then when I saw that it combined yoga and photography, it just kind of blew my mind that my two favorite things in the world were something that I could do and get away. And it was honestly the best vacation of my life, not just from an education perspective, but for my soul. I was going through a very difficult time. My mom was sick, and it was just transformational for me.
And what would you say? You had talked a lot about like there were moments that you felt like it was very urethral or unreal, or you just couldn't imagine, just you just couldn't
I
realize,
think,
like it just felt unreal to you.
yeah,
Like,
so I would say Costa Rica is a very healing place. I had never been, it was on my bucket list, and that was kind of what was the impulse for me to go, not realizing that the power of all of the activities that we were doing and the places that we were attending, just even for our own entertainment, that it would impact me so profoundly. So I had this moment when I was in the waterfall, and I had been through so much stress. My mom had cancer at the time. I'd been caring for her for a full year, and this was my getaway and my reprieve. And I was in the waterfall, and I felt like it was so healing that I just walked out of there. And Pratik Neer was with me, and I said, I feel changed. And he said, it's not just you. I feel the same way. And it was that moment that I said, I have to go back. This was something truly special. And I walked away with so much knowledge, but also so much healing and business acumen, I would say. So it kind of combined mind, body, education. I'm a yogi myself, so I just loved it.
and I think that's important too, that it's not, people spend all this money to go away on a retreat for education. And I think that how we're different is you had said it once, which I really loved. It was education, vocation, and transformation. So you're getting like this power packed full retreat that is very different than any other retreat. You were learning mindset, meditation, new tools to transform your life. You're on a vacation, you're in beautiful Costa Rica, but you're also, you're having entertainment, you're having these adventures, but you're completely transforming your life and your business, and you're doing it with some of the best in the industry and some of the most beautiful models in the industry as well.
I'll tell you, I take a lot of fancy vacations with my family, and I have never been able to put together this type of vacation in my life. The things that I experienced were not even on my bucket list. It was things that I never expected and never knew I needed. And it was adventure too, which was unbelievable. I wouldn't do that with my family. So
Yeah.
it was just great. Um,
Good.
oh, I didn't know if Marco had some perspective.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, Marco, we do a pool shoot at night, which is super, super cool. We're going to be
Yeah.
doing that, but Marco has a really rock star cool class that he's teaching, which is available light at night. We even bought some really cool, I won't give it all away. We do insane swag. Like you'll walk away with more swag than you've ever had in your whole life. But Marco, tell us a little bit about your class, which is very adventurous. It's really fun. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, so we are going to do that, of course, working with available light, which is going to be a little of a challenge because I don't know what the situation is going to be in Costa Rica. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I've seen the footage from previous workshops or retreats, and I think we're going to create super beautiful images. Not only that, but also I'll be talking about how is that I create my boudoir images that are, for me, has to express a lot of emotion, not only with the clients' faces, but also their bodies. So body expression, facial expression. We're gonna do some dynamic posing, which is also, I think, important for boudoir to create the most number of photos in short time, so you can sell more. And so we're going to be talking a lot of about those things, storytelling, emotion. I think those two things combined will make your images stand out, especially for boudoir photography. I think that's very important. But I also want to talk about something that I think is very important about this retreat. Is a very unique opportunity, I think. I wish I had something like this when I was beginning, because it's not only the education you're gonna get from the people that are going to share their knowledge, but I think most importantly is the network aspect of this, right? You're gonna have not only the few hours that you're gonna be spending learning from the educators, but you're going to have in front of you not only great artists, but business owners that have been successful at what they do. And so you're going to have 7 days, of time to take advantage of learning more in terms of that, right? In terms of business, in terms of the struggles, in terms of what you can do to improve your business as a photographer. And so I think that aspect is almost priceless, to be honest, because the amount of resources I got, for example, from people that I met early in my career has been really monumental for me. It returned several times the investment. So I think that is an important component of this retreat, to be, sharing 7 days with people that are successful in what they do.
Absolutely. And I do want to add too that the portfolio building portion of it it's remarkable, because not only do we have the classes where the students get to shoot as well, but we also do daily photo walks and even photo shoots in the evening. So they're having multiple classes a day with hands-on opportunity. And most of the time when you go to a workshop, it's, you do a workshop and then you're done. You get one opportunity during the day to build that portfolio. This is throughout the day. And I think it's also really important to mention that it's all encompassing. You're getting everything. A lot of times workshops are just focused in on one thing. You're getting business, lighting, posing, styling, post-production. There's nothing in the industry that we're not touching. So it is really worth every single dollar. It's incredible. And do you have anything else that you'd like to add, Jerry, Cate, before we wrap this up?
Well, I'm sorry, I just got kicked off for a second.
That's okay.
I'm back in. I think 2025 has been a very difficult year for a lot of people. And I would say that, making big investments sometimes feels scary. But one thing I always think about is, what are the investments that are going to propel me forward and make me more money? And for me, education is a big one of them, and it's about getting the right education. So having been a photographer for quite a while, having done a lot of education, I'm an educator myself. I need to know that the instructors are top notch. I mean, there's no conference I would rather go to than with this group of individuals right here. These are the people. I've been to several of Jerry's seminars over the years, and I've learned so much, and it has really influenced my work. I say that Marco is my soul twin. When it comes to creative and even business, and we've taught at many workshops together as well. This was absolutely a return on my investment. And from a business standpoint as well, because we were learning business concepts, marketing, in-person sales, not just the lighting, not just the creative, it was all encompassing. And I think that that's really important for you to think about, because a lot of workshops you're just attending for one thing or another. And this was pretty much everything. Great investment for me.
And we do have Klarna, we do have Afterpay, we do have in-house. And again, $1,000 off. This is what people are paying to do these retreats back home without anything else. You're getting all of the added bonus, the incredible swag, the adventure, the entertainment, live entertainment, multiple live entertainment, the multiple locations, the educators, the models, it's just an amazing experience. These tickets will not last. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you everybody for joining us today. You're so amazing. We're so grateful for you. And we do hope that we get to see you guys here on this retreat. Tickets will not last. It is a very intimate retreat, and we do hope to see you. Thank you so much. You're amazing. I appreciate you.
See you there.
Care.
Thank you. Thanks, Jerry, Marco. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you. We'll see you soon, guys. See you in April. Bye-bye.
Thank you.